Imagine this situation. Your CSM or account manager is reporting nothing but good results for a client. The KPIs seem to be in check, the Slack channel seems normal, all of the weekly reports kind of look like we're doing a good job. But then all of a sudden, it's a Friday night and you receive a cancellation notice for the contract. And you're left wondering, what could I have done to prevent this from happening? And the answer is simple. It's one simple meeting called the monthly partner check-in. And if you stick along to the end of the video, I'll show you how to run this meeting effectively and what questions to ask to make sure you notice these situations before they even happen. Number one, the results are good, but not good enough. And this is a situation that's kind of out of the blue, right? So you've been working with a client for, 3, 4, 5 months. It seems like every single month you keep hitting that number, and then all of a sudden they decide to churn. What happened? Well, the reality is their business might have changed over time and their goals now became different goals. Maybe the client now wanted to double that KPI and actually was willing to pay you more and get your team to do more stuff for them. It is a problem that you weren't aware of what that KPI is and what that number is. Number two, the goals are not aligned with the actual decision maker who makes the budget. And this one hurts personally because we had a really amazing client who we've been working with for over half a year, 7, 8 months. And all of a sudden they sort of sent us a cancellation notice. And the situation was next is the point of contact that was assigned to us was reporting nothing but success. But the reality is internally, the point of contact wasn't aligned with the actual decision maker. So what ended up happening, we spent 6 months going in a completely different direction than what the original decision maker wanted, right? We learned the lesson of, hey, we need to understand what are the goals of the actual decision makers and then make sure that they correlate to what the point of contact is talking to us. I'm sure people had this situation plenty of times, and now we have this entire process on how we manage stakeholders and actually make sense that the executives are in line with the people and the team actually doing the day-to-day work. Number three, the client situation changes for better or worse. We've had both of these situations happen, right? Just like people, businesses kind of have their ebbs and flows. People change, situations change. So does businesses, right? And unless you're going to have a pulse check on what is happening behind the scenes and sort of the internal politics on a client, you might risk the situation happening that their just situation 6 months from now changed so dramatically and you're sort of left in the dust not knowing what happened, and all of a sudden they cancel out the contract and you haven't even realized that their needs changed. Oftentimes this can happen when a client experiences rapid growth, right? So they go from making 10 million a year, they now double or triple, do 30 million a year. That's a completely different business and they have completely different needs that they need to now kind of manage and have all of their vendors understand. So you need to make sure that you're positioned in a way that you understand kind of what is the situation of the client on a macro level. What is their business going through? The second sort of situation that this might happen is, hey, they have a bad season, right? A bad quarter. Sales go down, their budgets shrink, they have to lay off some people internally. They are ripe for a downsell. Maybe they don't need as many of your services as they needed previously, but you don't know that because you, number one, never asked them about it. And then number two, oftentimes clients aren't even aware that they can downsell into a lower package, maybe just go on support or maintenance, or maybe buy a completely other service that's more suited for them in this particular situation. So to prevent all of these situations from happening, it all boils down to one concept, and that's having the right communication with the right people. And the way we do that is we've implemented what's called a monthly partner check-in. And this is a 15-minute meeting that happens between, usually in our case, myself, right, as the partner of the company, and the client's department head or executive who's in charge of the engagement, right? And what we do on this 15-minute call, it's literally a coffee chat, a very informal conversation that honestly in the past was quite normal to do so, especially before it was quite normal to wine and dine your clients, to take them a coffee, take them to dinners, and sort of have these informal conversations to judge how a relationship is going. What happens is when people sort of switch to this digital, Zoom meetings and Slacks, people lost that human element, lost that human touch. And we figured that this is a really good mechanism to sort of revive that in the digital format. And it's in a format of a 15-minute call that's on the same date, or basically the same day of the week, so the first Monday of the month or the first Wednesday of the month, and we do a recurring meeting, 15 minutes, and it's a very informal conversation. We talk about general how their business is going, how is their engagement going, are they happy with the direction that we're heading, is there any changes that we need to be aware of that are happening in their business, is there any changes to their quarterly goals that they want to go towards, how they're progressing on their OKRs. I really want to understand how are they doing, almost as a pulse check on their business, and then correlate that to how we can help them best to actually make sure that that's going in the right direction. And oftentimes, if you keep these conversations very light and informal and very conversational, the client will open up to you and kind of give you pieces of feedback in a very non-invasive way, right? So they'll tell you, yeah, I mean, everything's going well. Sometimes the project deliverables are a bit unclear, but more or less everything's going great. Awesome. That small nugget of information is everything that you need to hear. That small nugget of information, hey, the deliverables aren't always super clear, but more or less everything is going great. That's your opportunity to really make the most out of these calls and improve on that and go from there. And then the final thing that we started to implement is basically ask for an NPS score, and that's called a Net Promoter Score. And it's basically a grade of 1 to 10 on how likely is the client to refer you to new business, right? It gives you an opportunity to gauge how well is the relationship actually going. And the beautiful thing is you can now have a data point that you can track over time to understand how well are your individual account managers doing on their NPS, how well are you doing as a company on the Net Promoter Scores. And that's a data point that you can really kind of tangibly manage over time and improve on and kind of figure out where your weak points are. The beautiful thing about this is after you ask for a grading of 1 to 10, how happy are they with the service or how likely they are to refer someone to you, you're going to get 3 distinct categories. So category number 1 is going to be the detractors. And the detractors are people from 1 to grade 7. And usually those are the people that are very visibly upset about how the relationship is going, right? So if someone gives you a 6, that means that the relationship is not panning out in the direction that they want it to go. And usually you're going to be able to hear why right after they give you the number. So people are going to give you a number and then going to give you reasons behind that specific number. The second category of people are going to be your neutrals. And neutrals are people that give you a grade 7 and a grade 8. These are people that are either playing nice on the call because you took the time to talk to them, or they're actually kind of lukewarm with the service. That means they're not over the moon about how happy they are with the service, but they also are not completely unhappy with how everything's going. They're neutral. That means they're not talking to anyone positive. They're not talking to anyone negatively about your service. The beautiful thing about this is you can always ask for, hey, what would I need to do to bring this to a 10? What would I need to do to bring this to a 9? And people are going to be usually very open to provide you with feedback on what are things that they feel like are missing in your service, so you can bring that to a 9 and 10. They can become raging fans and they go around telling people how awesome your business is. And then the third group is basically the promoters. It's people that give you a 9 or a 10. And these are the people that are actually your fans. You know that they're happy with the service. You've done a great job servicing them thus far. And the key thing here is to ask them, hey, what is it specifically that commanded a 9 or that commanded a 10? And they're going to tell you, hey, the thing that I like the most about your service is this thing. Awesome. That means that you need to double down on that. And that's usually an opportunity to ask them, hey, would you want more of this? Would you want more of our service? Would you want more support? Is there anything that we could do extra that would bring you even more value? And oftentimes these upsell conversations are prone to happen in these monthly check-in calls very informally because you're just probing around. You're doing discovery. You're trying to figure out where they are in the relationship and how happy they are with everything. Sometimes these calls are going to be full of feedback. Sometimes they're going to be like, hey, everything's awesome. Business as normal. Business as usual. Love your team. Love the service. Let's just keep things running. Awesome. It's a 10-minute call. We just caught up on all the info that's happening and we can call it a day. Awesome. If that's the case, that's perfect. Oftentimes, on the other hand, you're going to get a lot of really good feedback that you can then take internally and then fix and improve upon. So some of the clients might be ripe for an upsell, but some of the clients that are not doing so well or neutral, you might need to have a conversation about downselling them or cross-selling them into something else, changing the way how the engagement works. And usually the smart thing to do is kind of take the feedback that they've given you, talk internally with your team, and then figure out, all right, what is the performance improvement plan? How can we bring this account back to its, full health, right? How can we make these guys happy? And the best way to do that is to really understand what the process behind your service is. And if you want to understand how to do that, you can watch this next video.